Okay, so for this week, I decided to create an Android app that could control my different AC units in my house. And so here is the basic user interface. We just have two rooms, my room and my daughter's room. And then um, you can set the fan speed and temperature, and then whatever the current value is will be displayed here, and then power the unit on and off. And so right now this is just an Android app and a SQL database, and it's not connected to the AC units. But let's see, for the main activity, we'll start with the database. So it uses a SQLite database, and that saves the status of both of the AC units, and so that no matter if the application is closed, then when you reopen it, it'll always have the most up-to-date um, status. And so here I just create a database with um, a state, temperature, speed, and ID column. And then we have a couple functions: on create, on upgrade, insert data. It'll just create a database at that whatever ID I specify. And then the update user, which will update um, the different ACs statuses, and then the read data. And so that inherits from this user file where I just instantiate the ID, state, temp, and speed. And then I have to specify what ID I want because I only have two units. So I just update over top of that current row. So then just have a bunch of getters and setters for all of those private variables. And then in the main activities, I go through and create that database handler and then create a user um, class that gets its values from the read data. So I specify my ID, and then it just creates um, the rest of the values as a zeros. And then we have the insert database um, function, so that reads from the current values of the database, and if it's blank, then it'll create a new um, row for those users. And then we update the different um, text fields in the application. So these fields right here, that'll display the current um, settings. And then have a couple of switches and buttons. And so when the switch is checked, then it'll change the state and save it to the database, as well as with the buttons, it will read whatever integers you put in and save it to the database. And then if it's a blank field, then it'll ask for you to enter a value. And then we have the same thing for the other AC unit. So in the emulator, it's not running. So if I run the app, then we see that power is off and all of the speeds and temperatures are at 0. So if I set those to different settings, then they'll update. And then why not turn one on? And so we have these different speeds and temperatures. And then if I stop the app and restart it, then those settings are saved. So I had a lot of difficulty with this project, learning how Android Studio operates, and I don't have any experience with Kotlin before, but it was a lot of fun, and it was probably the most rewarding module project that I've completed so far, and I am looking forward to interfacing this with my different smart devices so that I can actually use them.